Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Broadbelt SpeaX.
Yes.
It's a wonderful day, and today on our show is Tom Simmons.
Hello.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
So
You're
happy
the belt,
you're
you're the
here.
broad?
I'm the SpeaX.
Okay.
But you
The
see
girl
who
and the
name
broad.
comes first. The man name comes first.
Yeah.
You know, in the order of things.
It just seemed right at the time when we was putting it together. Okay, it had nothing to do with gender. People, please don't give us hate emails. But thank you so much for being here.
Thanks
and
for having
being a
me.
part of Broadbelt SpeaX. I'm excited to speak with you because I have been stalking you on social media.
Okay.
And you're hella funny.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I would have to agree.
Sometimes I am. Sometimes,
No, I mean, like every bit that I watched, I really enjoyed it, and I'm mad
that's
that I
cool.
did not know you before.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I've been doing it a long time, so I got a lot of, you know.
2 decades is a long time, and I was
Yeah.
like, did he start like at 10? I'm not
Ha
sure.
ha ha! No. Yeah, tell by this long gray beard.
It's just a little wisdom.
Yeah, yes. I started young. I mean, in my early 20s or whatever. But I started in Atlanta at like sort of around. There's open mics around there, and then basically my home club was Uptown Comedy Corner, which was Earthquake's club at the time. So I started there, and basically. You know, you were saying earlier, how does a comic get started? And I was thinking, oh, how did I get started? Like, what got me? I don't think you ever start. You just sort of are doing it. And then you get a gig and you go do it. And then you get another gig. And next thing you know, you're quitting your landscaping job and you're a comedian, you know?
So there's no true blueprint to it.
Not for me. There wasn't.
for you.
No.
Okay.
And then it was like especially when you're young, you don't really need money, right? You don't really you sleep on couches, you know what I mean? Like now,
It's okay,
yeah.
right?
Now if I go to a gig, I'm like, I'm a grown man. I'm not staying in a couch. I'll lose money and stay in a hotel, you know. Not, you know. So yeah, and then I just go out on the road and drive around and try to get gigs. And at the time, there was a lot more like you could be an MC and go, you know, make $200 for a week, and they'd give you a hotel, and you know, or you'd stay in a comedy condo, and you know, and then you just sort of network and you get the next gig and the next gig, and then before you know it, you're a comedian. That's how it worked for me.
Okay, well, let's rewind a little bit
Yeah, I was
before
gonna
that.
Right.
Like, was you like a funny child, or
I think so, but you know, but my mom's like, you're not even funny. You're going to be a comedian. You're not even the funny one in the family, right? You know, so but yeah, I've always been a smart ass. If that's you know, and I found in school like if I was funny, I could get away with more. Like if I could, like I told my son, if you do good in school and you're getting good grades, then you can be the one that's being the smart, you know, saying the jokes and blah, 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 and the teacher will be fine with it. But if you're, you know, a screw up that's getting regular grades, you better keep your mouth shut because you're going to get in trouble. you know?
right? Yeah.
So I started to find, you know, I moved a lot. So I never really thought that it's weird. I never really thought of it as a profession or anything. I don't know. I watched comedy. I would repeat jokes that I'd heard comics say, like if they came up in conversation, and be like, oh, that comic had that joke about it. And I would kind of put it into that conversation. Like I was that guy getting the laugh, you know?
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I went to like a contest and did it and thought, oh, I'm going to be on television in no time, you know? And then you start to learn, you know, but there wasn't ever a drive. I wasn't ever like, oh, I can be a comedian. It never really occurred to me that I could until I started doing it.
Until you started. So what then, because I'm listening to you, so when you say that you kind of did that open mic one, but prior to that, even when, like you were saying, you was funny, but wasn't really sure, was it something that clicked one day where you're like, well, I think I can do this? Like friends, as far as sometimes I have friends. So when I was telling you right before the show for everyone, some of our friends are comedians, and they grew up always being like that funny one amongst us all,
right?
And telling jokes, and they were like, "Well, let me try this out. I'm gonna see if I can actually do it." Now, I've always heard from everyone, once you step on stage and all the eyes are on you, the lights are on you, it changes from just telling jokes amongst your friends. I used to be, I still get a little anxiety before I go up, but I used to just get like sick to my stomach. Like I couldn't eat that day. And so I drank and got up there, you know what I mean? And then you have to rely on
with alcohol, I don't know how you guys are on it, but I felt like I was funnier. Doesn't mean I was. Every drunk thinks they're funnier, but there's that sweet spot. You ever shoot pool or throw darts when you're drinking, and then it's like there's that sweet spot where you're hitting every shot. You know what I mean? And comedy can be like that. Like you're loose, you're saying the funny thing, whatever somebody had, and then you drink 3 more sips and you can't put 4 words together. You know, what I mean?
You lose it.
Yeah. So there's.
I definitely get that part.
So do you still drink before you?
No, I don't. I quit drinking because I'd wanted to be a comedian, and once I quit drinking, I started to realize, because I thought everybody got that drunk. And then once I was in comedy and that guy was in the crowd, I was like, oh, that was me. Like, you don't realize, like when you're drinking, you don't realize that there's only 2 of you in the bar that are that hammered, right?
Right. Yeah, you think everybody is like you.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah. Earthquake told me to quit drinking.
Really?
Amongst many people, he was one of them. We were driving to do some gig in Cordele, Georgia, or some redneck bastion of the world. And then I drank that night at the show. I was opening for him, and then I don't remember what happened. I woke up, and my room had chicken wings all over the bed. You know what I mean? And so I was riding back with Earthquake.
Chicken wings are good on liquor.
Yes, they really are good when you've been drinking. And riding home, Earthquake just looked over and he goes, "Dude, you don't need to drink anymore. You don't." I was like, "What?" And he's like, "You don't remember what happened last night?" I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Yeah, you don't need to quit drinking it." You know, so. But he was just one of many, really. It was mostly people telling me to quit drinking were like, the guys I drank with, that I was like, that guy's a drunk. And they're like, dude, you need to quit drinking.
But not
me?
you.
What the hell?
Did you hear my last bit? It was the funniest.
Yeah, we always look outside of ourselves. And we see it in others. But they say, you're able to point out in others what's in you. Yes. That's why you can identify it.
Yes. Yeah. Those are the things that make me the most angry in the world, is like the things I notice. I think it all comes back to, it's a reflection of the things that bug me about me. You know, those are the things that bug me about my son, or my wife, being late, being blah, 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 all the things.
And then I was like,
sleeping late, you know what I mean? Like, dude, you can't call it intermittent fasting just because you sleep till 2.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? Like, you're
yes, you can, because you're not eating.
So you agree with you touched the nerves. Wait a minute.
No.
So you've been a comedian for 2 decades.
Right.
So along that journey, was it a time that you felt discouraged and was like, bump this, I need to go back to I think you said landscaping.
Yeah. No, I never wanted to go back to landscaping. I think that time has passed me. I don't really have landscaping game anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I was pretty good. Yeah, I was pretty good with a weed eater and a backpack blower. You know what I mean? But I had a company with my dad,
Oh, okay. So, gotcha.
So you had the 360 more and all that.
Yeah. We had the big push behind. Yeah. So, but it was mostly just, cutting grass and weed eating and blowing, you know what I mean? I wasn't doing a lot of landscaping, but, when have I was discouraged? A lot. Mm-hmm. It's a constant discouragement. It's yesterday is the answer to that. Like when, not really, but you know what I mean? Like I keep somehow, I don't know. I just keep getting work. I keep getting gigs, and I'm working at it, but I'm not like chasing anything anymore. But I don't know. I just somehow I'm lucky. Somehow I keep getting work. How about that? But I've never, but you get discouraged all the time. Like, why am I not this? Why can't I, why can't I do it exactly the way I want to do it? Why can't I be selling out theaters? Why can't I be Brian Regan or George Carlin or, you know what I mean? You always want to get that next thing, and I think I can be all that. The reason is I'm not willing to put in that work as much anymore. I don't think I still write as much, but it's like, if you want to be great, get up every day and write for 5 hours,
Wow.
Or work on I just refuse to do the stuff like, hey, how do I promote myself? How do I figure out how to, I don't know if you went to my website, but there was a picture where I didn't have white in my beard. I'm positive.
But it's all with everything they say. There's a process, and there's finding your process within it.
Right.
In it all. So I know for me, I always look at individuals and success for one person, and the path they take might not be what's right for me because we're different.
Right.
So there's going to be some similarities within it and stuff that I can gain from it and say, oh, okay, you took this path and you went this direction because of this. But I had to find my niche within it.
Yeah.
Because like you said, I like when you were saying the things you're willing to do, the things you're not, willing to do because you are, who you are. And so you have your approach to things.
I remember having a conversation with Jimmy Dore, a comedian, and he was sort of many years ago, and he was trying to get me to move to LA. And he's like, you got to get to LA. It's easy to be the funniest guy in Greensboro, North Carolina. I'm like, well, I went to an open mic last night. It is not. But it's like, you got to get out here and get on television. There's no way to not be on television if you're not here in New York, Yeah. And at the time, I just was like, I just have a different path, I think. I mean, because I wanted what I have, which is a boy that I got to raise in a house and a home and a wife and I wanted to work the road. I was like, and my belief is there's no Tiger Woods that nobody knows about. You know what I mean? There's nobody out there. So just go get better than everybody and the rest will take care of itself. Yeah. So that was sort of my wife and I bought a motorhome and hit the road driving for 3 years, living in that and doing comedy. Yeah.
So she fully supports your career.
Supported.
Supported. Okay.
Yes.
No, she does. Because I've had those times where I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's not worth it. So I'm never home. I'm off doing this all the time, blah, blah, blah. And she's, she'll call me on my BS. Like, what are you going to do? You're a comedian. Like, she's like, that's who you are. That's what you are. So she's encouraging in that way. She's, and a little bit like, what are you going to do? Like, what
like you're going to quit and
what are you going to, you can't, you're not a carpenter. You're not a plumber. What are you going to do? You know what I mean? You're going to go back to landscaping? Get fucking, go over there and write a joke.
So living in the RV for, you said 3 years?
Yes.
So how was that?
It was fun and
kids, I'm assuming.
We had him like the last, well, I would say 3 years, but it was really, we lived in it overall for 3 years, but we had him within that time, like near the end of that, right? So he was maybe in the motorhome while we were living in some friend's driveway in California in our motorhome. He was maybe for the first 9 months or so until he started being able to, however it is before they start really being able to get up and walk and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then it was like, all right, we packed up, moved back, ate it on the motorhome because we had to upside down in that. So get back to Greensboro around family that we could help take care of the kid and get an apartment and get ourselves out of debt and get started on life, So that's sort of how that went. And then it was like back out doing the road and being a comedian and, and then eventually, then she got a job too. And then that got easier because it, doubled our income, and she could do it from home and be around. And so that's how it went. Yeah, but the motorhome was cool.
I bet.
Yeah.
Being on the road and being able to come and go it
was the dream. It was like, how do we be together and I do comedy, and it was right at the cusp of when you could really get online and do Wi-Fi. So she couldn't, we tried to run her. She had a promotional products business at the time. So she was trying to get that started while I was doing this. So, but it was like staying in state parks mostly because that was cheapest because we were, we didn't have much money, And so we were, selling T-shirts and doing shows and it was great. Travel crisscross the country multiple times.
It sounds
our windshield was our bay window. Yeah, there's so many beautiful places in this country where it's like you go around a corner on the highway and you're just like, oh wow,
exactly.
Wow,
like Arizona's beautiful, like with those all that sand and those crazy mountains, and then going up the West Coast and through Oregon and there's places all over this country where you just go around a corner and you're like, wow, it's so beautiful. It's so cool,
Now, when you was traveling, do you book the gigs? I mean, how did it,
The plan was, yes. Be up north in the summer and, have a route. And then in the winter, we're going to work the South and blah, blah, blah. Be down in Florida. It's like.
And she was doing the booking?
No, I had an agent at the time, which was awesome. My agent was great. But there was no planning your schedule. There's like, you get what you get, and my schedule stayed full, but it was like he would try, but I was a middle act trying to move my way up to headliner. And at the time it was like, you could kind of do that in comedy. So it was like you have to sort of take what you can get, especially if you're starting to headline. So it was like I just became, we were up north in the winter and in the south, and we were everywhere. You're just driving. We had to drive from the West Coast to Arkansas and within a day and a half, and it's like 24 straight hours, and we're in St. Louis and exhausted. You know what I mean? So so we some of that, and some of it worked where we'd schedule it where we're like, okay, we're working Cleveland and then Columbus and Toledo. You could kind of do some of that, but it wasn't as easy as I thought it would be to do that. Yeah. But it was fun.
When working the road and you're telling your joke, is there something I always wondered, the difference in the crowds, the audience that you're working with? Is that tell you how good your joke is going to be, or is it just it went off with this crowd and then you get to another crowd and you tell that joke and they just not catching it at all?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it has nothing to do with not saying, it's weird. Revise this joke. I need to change it, or you stick to it.
Okay, like if I'm doing a almost entirely all black audience, I'll change. I would change references. Like I would say, instead of, if I was using a reality show, instead of saying Bret Michaels, I would say Lil Wayne, or whoever was that guy, instead of saying a movie where, if I was referencing I'd use Precious as opposed to Roseanne, whatever the ththing was, what I mean? Some of that.
Right, yeah. And so they can relate.
Yeah. And then there's, I hate to use that term, but there's a little code switching that happens in comedy. Like you're saying, in front of the crowd, you add a little more flavor, or you get a little clean. Like you can tell, okay, this crowd wants me to be clean. Like if I'm doing like now, if I'm doing you do a casino, or you do a thing, or you do a cruise ship, whatever it is, an early show where there's older people, they're not going to bite on this stuff. So you go to the clean, like the Dry Bar comedy special that you guys watch parts of, you know what I mean? That's Mormon clean, you know what I mean? Like that's a special level of clean, you know what I mean? That they want. Yeah. So it's like, you adjust to that crowd, and you never know. Like even if it's the same city, you can tell a joke one show and it just crushes, and then in the next show you tell that same joke and it just doesn't connect with that crowd. There's no rhyme or reason. There really isn't. There's something in the way you tell it, or the way, so you just keep doing the jokes. Like if I do a joke that's got 10 jokes in it, you know what I mean? It's like I call them, in my head, they're chunks of material about something. And so there'll be like 10 jokes within that sort of run of jokes. And they don't all work in the same way. Like it'll be like ha 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 ha, bam, you get that ha ha bam bam. You get a couple huge ones, but it won't always be the same line that does that. But within that joke, somehow there will happen. Like, the energy will be released. So I just tell them all, and
so is that like
differently to different crowds?
There was one you was doing, was looking at your show, and you said, I can't think of the joke, but the audience, the response was, very like the laughter, everything. You said, I should have started off with that.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like, because you were telling jokes up to that point.
Right.
You were telling jokes and people were laughing, but you hit that one that really just took off.
Yeah. That show that you watched, that whole show was like, it was one of those shows where it's like, okay, just keep pretending this is going well. You know what I mean? It was fine, but it wasn't that exactly that, where it's like there's a level of laughter that happens and a bam, where the room erupts and they're catching their breath. And that's what's hard to battle for me as a comic on stage, is to know that should be happening and I can make that happen, and it's not happening. And it sort of gets in your head, and then you start trying to have that happen, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, because you're like you're the energy shifter, like the atmosphere. It's up to you to create that atmosphere that they're in. So when you feel it being stale and everything, then you're like, I know your wheels are probably turning. Okay, how can I shift this atmosphere to make it conducive to what I need it to be, so I could perform at my best
me in my
self.
mind, I would be like, this is a slow crowd. Yes, I know I'm funny.
It's
like they are slow. This has nothing to do with the beat.
Yeah, I just that whole show, to be honest, I felt it was just a weird feeling from the start for me. It was like not and my own, and again, confidence comes from, that's a Seinfeld line. Confidence comes from knowing your lines. You go up there and you know exactly what you're going to do, and I was sort of take it as seriously. I was like, this is just a weekend I'm getting paid on. I was, because a lot of that material, you know, but I love that material, but it's not my favorite stuff, because my favorite stuff to talk about, especially at that time, was like, I wanted to talk about the environment and guns and like these issue things that were in my head at that time. And it's like, okay, I'll do the jokes about my son that everybody laughs at, you know what I mean? And, you know, that so you're doing the family clean show. Yeah. You know, like you're talking about dependent. And so,
I like that you are talking about
I'm very
that.
Self-critical, by the way, of the shows.
So that's how you build your, that's how you create what you're going to say. Your comedy is by just personal experience that you have in everyday life. Almost always. Always. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Or I joke, right? Like wordplay, you know what I mean? Like if you say something and like, the cliche is in there, you know what I mean? Or if I'm like, if guns are if a lot of things happen with guns, I'll go through and do whatever the cliches are, you know, cold dead hand, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll try to start writing jokes off of that, you know what I mean? Like, you know, or, one of the jokes they laughed at, like I did the second show I did on that dry bar, I did all that other stuff. I just took out all the curse words. I did like, you know, the gun stuff I do, which is, you know, like, and that's always new. Anytime that, you know, or I talk about race or things that I like that make, to me, I had this, like, I'm going to change the world when I started. So I still have some of that within my, like you were talking about, you just leave people be. I'm like, no, dude, I want to change their minds. I want them to do like Pryor did to me or Carlin did to me, or like that's what made me excited about, they were the guys that changed my worldview. You know, they made me think, oh, everything is bullshit. And these guys say that.
Right.
So you're doing comedy with more than a purpose to make people laugh. I
want them to laugh, but yes.
You want to make them laugh and then change the way they think about certain things.
I used to be way more cognizant of that when I was doing it. Now I have a little bit less, as I'm older, I'm a little bit less like I have a little bit more of what you were just talking about, where I'm a little bit more like,
gotta appreciate you for being the asshole.
I can't change their minds. I'm just going to tell.
But you can still stay in, you know, your presence of being you and being who you are. The people will come along, because there was so I'm just thinking about one that just had me dying laughing. It was the one where you was talking about how weak it is when a man's balls.
The vagina.
And I was like, I thought that was super.
Yeah, funny. I didn't see.
But that's what I'm talking. But that's what I'm talking about. Like that's one of those jokes. Like that one, the you scan joke. Like you have a few of those jokes that have that thing where it's like, you introduce the topic, big laugh.
Because it was huge.
Bam, bam, bam. Another, like, you know, like you just go punchline, bam, 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 bam. You know, like, the vagina, but, you know, like if they made boot, they're strong, you know, that whole, because there's a whole joke about how, you've seen versions of it probably over the last 5-6 years now of like, we do that all the time in our country where we refer to people that are weak as being pussies, you know what I mean? That's degrading to women and it's inaccurate, you know what I mean? To be like, get back in the game. You ain't hurt, you pussy. Like, you know, maybe that's just how I coach Little League.
Right. The vagina is strong.
That's right.
Okay,
like,
keep going.
Yeah, like a ball you just flick and we're down. Like,
my stomach.
We're in like concussion protocol for a
joke.
week. You know, so it's that premise, and then it's like I just keep hammering that premise. By then, like those are strong and durable. You know, they're probably like durable. Like, durable. If they made boots out of vaginas, I'd buy a pair. Look at that. The only bad thing about that, you know, look at that. Is that what is that, snakeskin? Oh, that is vagina lip. Look at that. That is self lubricating. That is a beautiful piece of footwear. You know what I mean? So it's like you just. The only bad thing about a vagina boot is after 8 years of wearing them, they're not going to let you put your foot in them as much as you used to. I don't say it jokey like that, but you know what I mean? Like,
but everyone is grabbing it, so it's like you set the premise, you set the whole thing, and it's just like it was just firing. Like I was dying laughing, especially when you get to the 8 years.
So that's the goal, is to kind of make it so that you get to the end of the bit, and then the crowd is like has to be like catching their breath with laughter. You know, that's. You say, why do you do comedy? That's why. Like you get on stage and you make people laugh. Like it's something. Eric and I have talked about this. I don't know what it is about me, but there's that's joy to me. That when I think the thing that makes my mind laugh or make other people laugh, or creating like it's genuine in me. Like that's, if I have to think of what brings me joy, sadly, that may be it.
Yeah.
That's not sadly. That's awesome.
That's
like
a positive one.
Yeah.
And the energy, I was when you was talking earlier when we were all talking about the crowd and when jokes when they hit and they don't hit with the crowd, but I always look at it as you're feeding off their energy as well. So if they're giving you energy with their laughter and off a joke, that just gives you, it's like you said, things are firing and you're coming back even harder with more stuff that makes them just keep going. But if their response is a little, not even dormant, but where they're
restrained and they're sort of like just watching.
And they're just sitting there. They might think you're funny, but they're not giving you the energy with laughter or any kind of movement or, like you're not getting that. So it's almost like, so you're doing all the spoon feeding to them with the energy, which is exhausting.
That could be draining. Realize that, like when I'm on stage, I tend to be like, the whole crowd can be laughing and there's 3 people sitting over here that aren't, and that's where your focus that's where my energy goes. Yeah, and that's somehow, like, I don't do crowd work or whatever, but you know what I mean, somehow that's the people that I'll be like, what do you and then I engage the fucking guy that hates me. Why am I doing that? Like, and so somehow I've started to stumble. I'm still learning comedy, so it's like I'm starting to realize, it's really easy to talk to the crowd if I'm looking at someone and you see that sparkle in their eye and that smile on their face and they're relating to the joke, then it's like, okay, now I talk to you, you want to talk to me. And so we have a fun conversation, So I'm starting to be able to embrace that in the crowd as opposed to focusing on the negative. And it makes me get that energy you're talking about.
I like that.
Do they stand out easy? Someone who's not laughing when you got a crowd of people laughing?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Okay.
Because you're scanning and you're reading people.
Yeah. It's the energy.
So you catch it quick. You can.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you're like, why isn't he laughing?
Yes.
Hey, everyone at the table is laughing.
Does he not like me?
You're like, he doesn't like me. That's how self-centered I am. Like, he doesn't like me. He doesn't like my joke. He must not like my opinion. Like, I'm doing all this stuff, and it's like
he's jealous.
Yeah, it's like he's probably just sitting there like, oh, my wife's leaving me. I'm miserable. Whatever it is. What I mean?
But it's all about you and your mind.
Like, what is it? It's like, zipper down. What is the matter with this guy?
Is that when, maybe not you personally, but is that when a comedian was, like you were saying, speak to a person, like say, hey, sir, when they do something like that, hey, sir, so what, is that your wife? And blah, blah, blah. And they start having a conversation with the people in the crowd.
I think it's when they don't have jokes. In my opinion, you talk to the crowd when you don't have jokes. That's just my being my own like snobbiness about comedy. Like, really? Is that why you got into comedy? I got into comedy because I really wondered what people did for a living. I was like, hey, what do you do? They couldn't, people looked at me weird if I asked them in the subway. So I just was like, I'll be a comedian. What do you do? What do you do? How long have you been married? Like, I have questions for people. That's why I do comedy. No, I want to tell jokes that I wrote.
Right. Right. Yeah. But one of your bits,
other people are great at that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But one of your bits, you were saying how you don't like people. So how does that
I like
not all people.
I like and don't like people. You know what I mean? So, yes. So, but mostly yes. My premise is I've sort of stuck with this for a long time of like I want to love everybody, but have you met everybody? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
You want to love your neighbor.
Yeah, I love your neighbor. My neighbor doesn't want me touching him that way. So those are the jokes, those quick jokes like that. Like that's what gets you into the topic. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And now I'm like, okay, and then it's like with that one, and it's like, and then I sort of bounce from that into talking about I can't even love my wife all the time.
Yeah,
exactly.
And then that gets into another bit, and then out of that, then it's then I can maybe. Because like now I don't even need to be in a car to get angry. I don't even need another person to get angry. In my phone, I'm yelling at Siri for not giving me the proper directions. You know what I mean? Like, you ever do that where you're yelling at your phone?
I'm yelling at Alexa all the time.
Alexa in the house?
Yes.
Yes.
That's not what I asked you, Alexa.
Yes.
And that's just a program. But
sometimes Alexa's wonderful, right? You're like, Alexa, set a timer for 14 minutes, and I make my macaroni and cheese, and she's great. And sometimes I'm like, Alexa, how long should I boil my potatoes? And she's like, okay, here's Sweet Tomatoes by Bo Diddley on Amazon Music. That's not what I asked you, Alexa. What are you doing? You walk into my wife's got the pods all through the house now sometimes.
Yeah.
So you can't even like you can't You have to come up with a code name just to talk about Alexa, because then she starts butting in and bring up Alexa. Alexa said, blah, 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 I can't help you. My son was yelling at me the other day because I started arguing with Alexa because I was like, Alexa, add peanut butter to the grocery list. And Alexa goes, okay, who is this speaking? Is this Owen? And I was like, it's none of your business who's speaking. Just put the shit down on my thing. And Owen's like, you don't have to get all mad at Alexa. Just say no. It's not. And I'm like, no, because that's giving her more information. She doesn't need that information. Why is she fucking being a Budinsky into our personal business?
Yes. So, but I low key try to be nice to Alexa because in my mind they're going to take over. So I'm just like, thank you.
Yes, my son used to give me
a nice one.
Yes, my son used to give me. They both gave me crap about saying thank you to Alexa. You don't have to say thank you. And I'm like, it's just polite. And now she sort of evolved into when you say thank you, she said she appreciate. Yes.
Yeah. You had one where you was talking about, because I do this when I'm in the grocery store and I'm bagging. And it says put your product in the bag, and I'm like, I put it in there. I've done that where I'm in there and I'm like, I put it in there, and then I feel myself getting loud and I can feel it. And I'm a calm, reserved person, but it's just the fact that I did the act.
Right.
And you're telling me that I didn't when I watched.
And we need to get paid.
That's right. That's right.
And I thought about it. I was like, we are doing everything now. Yes. But the prices hadn't changed. They're still charging us full price.
And then they tell us to go get the cashier. We are the cashier.
Yes.
You were
So I was
am the cashier.
But so your son,
and comedy-wise, really that's a joke. Like going back, like comedy-wise, that's a joke that I wrote when they first came out. Like I literally went in the store with my notepad after I noticed myself getting sort of angry at it. And so I literally listened at the Harris Teeter to like what exactly it said. So I would repeat. So it would be like, so that's what I'd like even at 9/11 when the tower went down, I grabbed a pen and it was like Al-Qaeda, like, we're going to rid the world of evil. So I start writing down the phrases that I feel like we're all hearing. So I did that with the machine thing, write the answers, like how I was mad at it. But now that joke, like you guys bringing that joke comedically, there's that joke is now every comic has that joke. You know what I mean? So it's, you know, that's what I mean about that part of that special. Like that was jokes that I was sort of like that some of them, it's weird how you get embarrassed by your own jokes just because they've been around so long that now they're hacky. You know what I mean? Like, so now you've heard them out of 50 other comics' mouths. Mine's just the funniest version.
Absolutely, Tom. Absolutely.
So I have to feel that about the jokes, or I wouldn't. If I felt like I've heard one that's a funnier one, then I wouldn't do it anymore because it's like I've heard a funnier version than this. So I believe in it that it's funny. You know, mine was the funnier version. It has the same kind of thing as the pussy balls joke, which is just bam, kabam, kabam, bam, bam, bam. You know, applause break, a big laugh, bam. You know. So I love that's fun for me. And now I'm writing on a television show where they don't want that. So it's a weird thing. Like my mind is trained to write in a specific way, and this is a different medium, right? So there's like, we don't need a joke on top of a joke. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That's an extra laugh with no words. Like you get to just use the premise we already had. And now you have 3 punchlines instead of 1. Why would you? But that's not the way that form of storytelling works.
Right.
So, you know, I just have to try to learn a different way, but I'm a joke writer.
I definitely want to talk more about the show. But before we get into that, you had a question about...
Oh, it was just because you said your son's name. And I thought Owen. You were right. It's really Owen.
Yes. Because that was just a bit that I did?
Yes, I did. Yes. So hearing you say it, I'm like, so it's true to your reality. His name is really Owen. Yeah. Because you were saying, I'll be Owen for
the rest of my life.
Right,
yeah. And that's funny because that is actually a line my father-in-law said to me when we brought him in. Like we named him Owen. I'd read a book by John, is it Irvin? A Prayer for Owen Meany. And I just, the character's this really, I don't know, something about the name jumped up, but also the character was like the character was a weirdo, but it was like, the character just was just all about that sort of love and change the world. It was like I think it was sort of a allegory for a Jesus character kind of thing. Something about the name just stuck with me, Owen, for a long time. And so anyway, that's how we named him that. Not because of that. But then when we walked in the house with him, my father-in-law said that line. That's what you're going to be doing for the rest. I'm like, I was like, did you just write that?
Exactly.
Because you have to do that sometimes. Like somebody will say something and it's like, where did that come from? Because if that's a real in the moment thing, that's comedy. And or did you hear that somewhere? You know,
exactly.
He's like, no, I just thought that. I'm like, okay. So I started telling it and it works great. Yeah. And I have. And now it's worse because now he's a teenager and somehow I was really concerned about money when he was born. I really was. I actually found a notebook that I started I was writing comedy in my comedy writing notebook from when we were trying to get pregnant. And the beginning of my wife's pregnancy. So it was like a February to November type of thing. And he was born in January. So within it, it's just interesting to see some of the stuff I was writing and worried about at the time.
Compared
and it was things like money and blah, blah, blah. But money for one, I don't know if it happens if you got 2 or 3 then it starts to compound, but it just felt like we didn't change a whole lot. It didn't seem like, and it was fine. We had enough.
Yeah.
You know,
we had enough. Yeah.
But now that he's getting older.
Yeah. They become adults in the household.
Starting to put gas in the car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Insurance. Like it's like, it's bigger chunks of money when he gets
taking up too much space.
And they eat more.
When he blows a tire out and then it's you $400. You know, so
I totally get it. So I want to touch on Scientology.
Why?
Because I just do.
Okay.
I feel like you got some more information for us on that.
I thought that was just a joke. I didn't think it was
religion
in general.
Oh, I don't know anything about Scientology.
Yeah, that was just.
Why would you tell me to ask him? Why did you tell me to ask him that? I was keeping it in my mind, guys.
That's that small mind.
So no.
Stop.
Because he said something about aliens.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I could see your face though when she was asking. You was like,
what
Scientology to me is maybe it's out of line, but I categorize it with Mormonism. Like know, the guy who wrote your religion, like I'm not talking to you two specifically, but you're a Scientologist or more. The guy who wrote your religion, there's literally written proof from him and the people around him that they made it up.
Yeah.
So. It's not like Christianity where you got to go back a couple thousand years and go through how they put together the Bible and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if it was, based on real people. You don't have to do that research. It's fucking within your grandpa's lifetime. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
To me that's kooky. If that's your religion, I don't know. If it can get you to God, which that's fine. What?
I'm growling over here.
Are you a Scientologist?
I'm not.
She used to be. She's
removed. So what about Scientology drew you to it? That made you think, this is real.
I love that we could be aliens. Because like
at some point.
We can still be aliens.
The ultimate thing to get to the highest level of Scientology is like every cell on your body is like a alien, like it has its own domain.
Okay.
So it's to learn all of that. They say to learn all of that will make you like the head alien or something like that. So I just like the whole concept, but I only know about it because I seen the documentary on Netflix.
Okay.
About it, but no, I never done it. He's just fibbing. But I've been a Christian before.
I think all religion.
The only thing I have done.
Yeah. I'm not anti-Christian either. I
haven't done Scientology.
I do have sort of.
But I think it's
your choice of words. But keep going. Yeah.
But I did Christian.
You're like I did that too.
What I was going to ask you, Tom.
I did spend a lot of time in my 20s, like that was my thing. Like I was like, I'm going to read all the religions and I'm going to figure out God.
I was the same way. I'm kind of reading through all the different ones. Yeah. Trying to, as you said, it's like for me trying to see what that understanding is. You see, pretty much it's all the same.
Right. See, you saw the same thing. Like when I'm reading, everybody talks about all the differences in them. Yeah. And to me, there's a core.
Definitely
as Jefferson said, that the diamond in the dunghill. That's sort of within all of them, you know.
Well, within Christianity, I had noticed the two different gods that's in Christianity. So the Old Testament God is totally different than the New Testament God. The Old Testament God is like wrath, and I will kill you, and you kill the children on the land, and kill the sheep, and don't leave nobody living.
Right.
But then
if you do, I'm going to be mad at you for 3 generations.
Right. And I'm going to curse you. And then the New Testament is all love and light and peace. So I was like, this is bipolarism. I don't know what is happening. Are we just gonna skip over this and not
yes we are
like address that this is 2 different personalities? So yeah, it was really weird to me.
I used to say that too, like why, if you're so like, there was a if the Old Testament is like the word of God, right? This is actual. First of all, we're just taking his word for it. I don't know this guy. So
exactly.
but why would the Father be literal and the Son be all allegory, and or whatever the word they use? What was?
It's allegory.
Is it allegory, or do they say Jesus parables? Like parables. Jesus spoke in parables, but the dad spoke in exact. I mean every fucking word. That seems a little it seems a little off. You know what I mean?
It does.
Maybe he was like, I need a new approach. You know what I mean?
And then I just figured, I was like, okay, so it's just like dual personalities. Yeah. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe you have to kill and then love at the same time.
I think that's Gemini. See. I think that's sort of
he definitely was.
That's sort of for like the like that. If for love to exist, hate has to exist. So you can't have. You can't
it was
have,
the yin and the yang.
And, and that thing you were saying about the little particles of thing, like that's another one of my kooky beliefs. Like I think it's the best explanation I've seen is like a holographic universe, that a multi-dimensional, like where like a holograph is like every piece of it contains all of it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like we're little pieces of this hologram that together, you know, we're everything, you know?
And like,
but what do I know? You know, or it's nothing.
I totally agree, because it's amazing to me that all of your cells have memory and they do what they do on their own. So it's like a whole universe within each cell.
Yeah.
I mean, we only focus on like us talking and, you know, communicating, but we have a lot of different worlds within us to make up this world, and it just keeps going and going. And like, if it in that cell, is it something else? You know what I'm saying? Like, does it just keep going and going? Yeah. So I have to get out of the rabbit hole and just be me.
I think that's ultimately what I have with religion. I don't understand how you can feel like you know the answer. You know what I mean? Like, how do you know?
The end all.
Yeah, like so that's what a religion does to me. Is it says, here's the answer and here's what you need to do, and I don't see how anybody like that's seeking God can put themselves in that box of this is the answer and I know it, because I just don't think that's possible.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. Like I always say, there's just no blueprint to any of it. So you're trying to create, say, there's this standard of things as far as the way you live, the way you approach things, the way you interact, all these different things, and everyone's supposed to go about it the same way. As if we're all, that's how it's like, we're not clones, we're all different. So we're supposed to be individuals who approach things differently. That's to me the beauty. But instead, to control any mass group, you need everyone to do the same thing. So I'm working on. You
think
own.
Like if you can, that's the goal, or you think that like to control a mass group, what is it easier to, if you're separated and divided?
Well, it depends on.
That's another form of it. Like if everybody's working together, you might be.
Yeah, but they're working together on your agenda, on what you want.
That's what I was going to say. It depends on the intentions of the master.
If everyone is separated and not really separated as far as doing their own thing, like everyone is running in all different directions, but you have more of groups of people who are aligning and having those open conversations where everyone is curious to understand, Tom's point of view, or why does Tom, thing like that. Instead of saying in the conversation, I'm trying to persuade you to see
things your way.
Exactly. Yeah. That's not a conversation to me.
And if you don't, you're going to hell.
No, thank you. Thank God I don't believe
that gets everyone like, okay, I'm going to see it your way. What are we doing?
That makes that a lot easier.
This minister said to me, because I used to ask all these questions when I was young. Me and SpeaX talk about it. And my mother used to get mad because I'm asking these questions as a kid. Just be like, stop it. Like, just be quiet. And I remember, I think in my teenage years, one said to me, a minister said to me, he said, well, if you don't believe, he said, but what if you don't believe and it's true? So why not just believe?
Yeah. My son brought that up to me recently. I'm like, that's Pascal's wager. And I don't really, I think that's been kind of worked through and
right.
Because that's from a lot, like, I don't know, but then I think we should use Pascal's wager on climate deniers. Because well, let's just pretend it's real. And then what's the worst case scenario? Like the worst case scenario, we make the world a better place and we have clean energy and blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Or we go your way and maybe we're right and this is it because you know.
Yeah,
or maybe it's there's no global warming. Let's take the chance that maybe it is. Like that, I want to use Pascal's wager on.
Right.
Yeah, that sort of so how'd you answer him to that when he said that?
I can't recall when I asked. I think I just let him say that because at times, even to this day, when I'm in a conversation, I'll get to a point to where I call just where I'm listening, where I'm more engaged in their response, their body language, their tone, the way they use their words, all of those things, and I get more caught up in that part. And then at times I'll say something. It's not even the way I feel, but I just say it just to see because of the direction the conversation was going. Like, oh, well, let me say
I
this.
do that too sometimes. I throw a little wrench in the conversation.
Yeah.
Like, what about that? Even if it's not something I really believe,
exactly.
I want to see how they'll answer it.
And just see. I'm like, oh, okay. So you get an idea of an individual.
No, well, don't do that.
No,
don't do that.
I used to do a thing. That's why we're talking about religion. I did a thing for a little while where there's a friend of mine that works with Reverend Barber right now. You know what I mean? You know what William Barber is?
Reverend Barber?
Yeah. William Barber here in North Carolina. For a while, he was doing the Moral Mondays. And
the big, he's really, really big.
Yeah. He's sort of like, to me, he's like the Martin Luther King version of Christianity, which I love. You know what I mean? And a lot of that, the poor people movement and all that. But this buddy that works with him, how was I getting into this? What was I? Now I'm.
What was it talking about? People's reaction to saying certain things.
Yeah, when I said don't do that.
Yeah, it's gone.
That is it. Don't do that. You know,
it's gone. It's gone.
I don't know. Sometimes it kind of seems like condescending.
Yeah. Well, I did want to talk about your writing and how does so you touched on it a little bit as far as you being a joke writer, where you want that joke after that next joke and keep that energy going. With writing for a show, does that kind of taper you in that way, or are you able to still get to that point with your joke and then just move on to? It seems like you have to lay out a joke more than the way you want to do it.
Well, for writing for the television, well, television, it's more important, I think, to get the story. You know what I mean? So the guys that are really good, like the guy Jordan, who's the creator of the show, he's a playwright and he's also studied television. But it's about the stories. There's two stories going on in almost everything. The A storyline and the B storyline. Like what Miss Pat's going through, and then there's also the story of what her boy's going through. So there's two, and then they either interact or they take place parallel.
Okay.
So that has to happen, and then it's like there has to be the whole emotional connection in the story, and then the jokes are really just they're added in later. There is jokes written in as you go, but it's the jokes are secondary to the story.
To the story.
Yes.
So
and in my comedy, like in stand up, yes, the joke there's no story. Like some guys are great at creating a whole hour that flows and has a story, And I'm just like, I'm trying to get laughs per minute in jokes. That's sort of my style somehow. So I've never been able to lay a theme through my show. The closest I get is that sort of love everybody stuff and how am I going to love, you know, and then I've kind of battled myself through that set. I really worked hard at trying to figure out a way to do that, to set a theme and blah, blah, blah. But there's no story being told, you know, and for me, jokes is like, all right, I have this thing on guns and, you know, and then it's like, I have this joke about guns. So I'll make sort of a list on a piece of paper of all my gun jokes or all my jokes about shootings or whatever it is, you know, and then I'll try to, around some of the thoughts and ideas I have, and then I'll try to like look at it in a list of whatever of 15, 20 things. And then I'm trying to put this one first, you know, and so I'm doing that work of diagramming it and trying to get it to lay out so that it flows from one to the next joke. So
it's a transition.
Yeah, and then do the whatever that transition is from that joke to get me to this one, and blah, blah, you know. So I work that through, and so but writing a show, it's like the episode I wrote on season 1. It's sort of you pitch there's a bunch of ideas pitched in the room in the room of writers, and then you start to shape what the story is going to be, and then the story gets sort of broken down in the room, and the head writers sort of doing that, and then you end up with basically an outline of here's how it's going to be. Scene 1's going to be this, blah, 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 blah. And then they're like, okay, go write it. And it's it's half written, you know what I mean? It's really just like I went back into final draft and started with the first thing and just started writing in the outline, right? So I wrote in the outline of it. And there's a couple jokes that we've pitched in the room. And so they're in there, blah, blah, blah. And so I just you just write down the outline and in dialogue form or whatever. And where there's holes, you start to fill it in with dialogue. And then now then the outline's sort of on the script, and then you sort of I went back through like line by line trying to figure out like, okay, this will be, and then I overwrote, and then you bring it back to the room and you don't need 3 jokes there. You just need this one. And I'm like, what the fuck? You know, like I'm doing all the things wrong, you know, that you're not supposed to do as a writer. But Miss Pat got me in there because she just thinks I'm funny and she likes that I can kind of get her voice here and there, you know?
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Is this your first time writing?
It's my first time writing on a show, you know? So what, and people are like, how'd you do that? And there's ways to do it, which you can see it when you walk in the room. There's people that they've never even done stand-up. They've done writing. Shows. Like this is their art, you know, and they've worked at that for 15 years, you know? So I can walk in there with an arrogance of, I know comedy, you know what I mean? But I don't know shit about this, you know? And so I've had to be humbled and learn some of that too, you know? And I've also been better at it than I thought I would be, you know? There's being able to hear jokes and hear where jokes should be, or hear that a joke's not working. Just even if it's on, like if we were reading the script to each other, like you can sort of the years of experience, so you can hear if that's a laugh or not.
Does that create?
Or wait, the word needs to be last right there instead of for. It's little things like that.
All right. So that's what I was going to ask. Like, does that create challenges between you and someone who's not stand up?
Sometimes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
He's like, yes.
I'm surprised they had me back. How about that?
Oh, really? Was you bucking against the system?
I really was. Like, I was arguing with the showrunner, who's the top guy. You know what I mean? I didn't understand some of the beliefs about comedy and some of the
I bet. Yeah, because you're out there doing it. You're on the stage. You're. And
I wasn't always arguing for my joke. I was arguing for what I thought was the best joke, or this is. You can't do, and there's a rule in television writing, which doesn't exist, Eric could tell you, in real comedy, where if you think a joke is not good or is hacky or is just a low level joke, you bring that up and you're like, you got to have a better joke than that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So we sort of joke police each other in stand up, you know, but the rule there is sort of, if you don't have a better joke, don't bring it up. You're just being, it's easy to be the naysayer and say that joke's not funny. But my philosophy is that joke's not fucking funny. There's 7 of us here. Let's fix that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that sort of tone. coming out of my mouth.
That's not fucking funny.
Yeah, it comes off. People take that the wrong way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially when you're the white guy in the room. You know what I mean? I'm not.
They're like, oh, who's this?
Yeah,
Are you the minority?
Yes, yes. And yeah, I know. It brings joy.
How does that feel?
Yeah, I know. It's stress. I know. You're right. And so I had some of that too.
Yeah,
so where I'm
yeah,
like, they're
I
just not
bet.
liking it because I'm white.
Yeah.
You know?
You see where that comes from?
Yes. It's hard not to have that because and Miss Pat, it's the funniest was like I'm writing the script like the way the characters say things, the way Miss Pat says things, which is not always the greatest proper English, which is great and hilarious to me, the way and the flow of the language. So I'm writing that and it jumps off the page to her. She's like, Tom, you can't. Write it the way you say it, and then I'll change it. Okay. I'm like, what? I'm writing it how the character. Everybody else is writing that way. And she's like, yeah, but when you do it, it feels racist. Like, really?
She's just so blunt.
And I'll walk in there and like, Tom, do that thing where you do your black voice. I'm like, I'm not doing a black voice. Like, yeah, you are. And I'm like, you guys do the code switching thing at work. Yeah. I'm just feeling the flavor, you know. And they're like, you don't do that. And I'm like, it didn't even occur to me. I just felt like I was being. That's how I do.
Inclusive.
I like that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now I have jokes that I've been doing for years, and I'm like, is that racist? I didn't think so. Oh no. Like I do a joke about starting in black comedy and how black audiences are just better than white audience. Like black people laugh in a way that like that. You know what I mean? And hopping up like Ricky Smiley at his own jokes. You know what I mean? Like and you know, so and white people just don't do that.
So tell me a little bit about you and Miss Pat's relationship since she brought you on the show.
Yeah. So people say, how do you get into it as a comic? How do you get into it? Right. And it's all I was just joking with somebody on set and I was like, well, you do comedy on the road for 20 years and like 1,000 comics say, hey, if I ever get a show, you're going to be a writer.
Right.
And none of them ever get shows. Or if they do, they run into what it is where you can't just bring people on.
Right.
They want real writer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they can't just give even Jordan, who created this show with Miss Pat and is a phenomenal writer. They wouldn't let him be the showrunner, you know what I mean? Even though he was sort of de facto running the show, because it's just you can't do that a first time thing, blah blah blah, you know. So there's systems in place that are checks and balances that they have. But yeah, so I finally had somebody that got a show that was like, I want, and Miss Pat is very Miss Pat. She's very, you know what I mean. You're not she's going to tell you how she's going to do it, you know, and she's going to stand up for the stuff that she wants. So she got a mix of the television writers and then comics that she felt like could capture her voice or that she thinks are good joke writers. So I think somehow she thinks that I'm a good joke writer. And
somehow.
Yeah. The first time I met Miss Pat is, I tell the story all the time. Like I was at Uptown and I came off stage from doing a show and she came over to tell me that I was funny, blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, I'm Miss Pat. I'm going to be a huge star. And I was like, in that moment, I remember thinking, that's she's an open micer. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. And I knew she was right.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yes. Because she just, I don't know if manifest in reality is a real thing, but she just knew that she's smart, she's funny, she's all these things, and she's overcome so much that this was nothing, you know. She's been scamming a lot smarter people than people that run show business, you know what I mean? So, and, you know, and playing them and doing her thing to get where she is. And then she just got to work and she outworked people, you know, and she was determined to be where she is and she writes hard, you know, and especially that first season, every word of those scripts, she went back through. And Miss Pat has that thing that I have, like, and Steve Jobs has, which is like, this is garbage. You know, she just doesn't, and I'm the same way. Like, she may 7 minutes later think, oh, wait a minute, that's a great joke. Once she sees, she sees it or it clicks why that somebody thought that was. So you know, to me, that's fun about comedy. You just, you argue the jokes and you get them to go. And sometimes I would get a little too over the top, like some of the argument, like, you can't do that Kardashian joke, guys. You can't, you have to have a better, well, you got something better, Tom? Saying nothing there is better. Like, those are the kind of things I would say. Like, that's how bad that joke is, you know, and you can't do that. You can't do that and have relationships with people. So that's what I'm learning. Now I'm like, I tell them what I think, or I pitch a joke. If they don't like it or I think they're wrong, I don't need to tell them they're wrong. I just.
So you're learning how to work.
Because I'm not always right. You know what I mean? I'm not always. So it's fine. It's not my show, you know. But I like it. I like writing the jokes for it. I like finding the jokes because they found my role a little bit better, which is now I'm not writing the script. I'm punching the show up.
So it's changed from when you first started as far as the writing.
My role, I was in the writer's room writing scripts and stuff and doing a lot of and I'm not saying I can't do it. It was just a lot. It was a lot. And I wasn't good at taking criticism and all that kind of stuff, you know. But I was good at it. I wrote a good script and I have an episode I'm really proud of. But I'm glad that just to be writing, the money's about the same and it's not nearly the intense price. It's like I can just walk in and be like, oh, it's written? Cool. And then that needs a joke. That needs a joke.
Yeah, add in yours. That's good then.
Yeah. And I find it's you know, like simple things like when somebody walks in a room and says, would you like a cup of coffee? And the script says yes. It's pretty easy to be like, no, that's a joke there. You answer that with a joke. And then I write 5 or 10 punchlines and pitch them to Pat, and then none of those will work, or one of them will work, it's just the thing that makes Miss Pat go, no, here's the line, and then she says it the way she would say it, and, you know,
clicking off of each other.
Yeah. So, and then it's like you instantly sort of know what the funniest line is.
Yeah. So
it's fun, you know. And then there's 5 or 6 of us that are watching the show and trying to pitch jokes all week, and you pitch 20 and 2 get in, but still, it's like that's what I do is I just write and pitch to the point of annoyance, probably.
So when you I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You was about to say something, but when you're pitching your jokes, do you run through it with like some type of audience to see if it'll work, and then say, "Oh, that one didn't work," and then you run it again with another joke, or is it at a table?
So on this show specifically, there's a 4-day turnaround. Okay. So let's say on Monday they start with a table read. They have the script written, it's been rewritten, blah blah blah, and this is the script they're going to go. And then so they do like a table read where they're all the actors read their lines, they go through it, and then there's executives watching and blah blah blah, and then there's sort of a break, and the executives give notes, and sometimes they're just like terrible notes, but overall one of the things I've been most surprised at is they're really good at that. They really make the show better with the things they fix, like the problems that they see with the script or their blah, blah, blah. And sometimes you get a note and you're like, that's just ridiculous. And then you sort of do it and you're like, oh yeah, it does make it work better. And sometimes they are ridiculous and they don't use them, you know? Okay. But, and then you start to see like, oh, there's not really a punchline there or whatever. And then they then they get it on its feet, they say. So then the director, then after they take notes or whatever, then the director hits the stage with the characters, and then they start sort of in the room that they're going to do it in, on that set that the set people have built from 2 weeks before, and they have this, you know.
So, are you able to watch the show?
Oh, I sit there with headphones on. That's where I start. That's where I'm better at. Like, I'm not as good at just looking at the page and being like, I'll be like, there's
but the actual movement and dialogue.
I start to watch the movement and I start to hear the beats of the joke, and then it's like you start to hear, okay, that beat's wrong,
and you can suggest changes within that. Okay,
or I'll be like, hey, how about this, blah blah blah, and then or you just feel a scene end, and there's like, oh,
there's missing something.
Needs a big, you know. So that gets stuck in my head, and it's like I'll start being like, oh, we're gonna need something here to some of the other, and I just start pitching ideas for each scene and blah, blah, and, you know, and some of them get in and some of them are like, no. And like, or I would get too wordplay one day, you know, and it's like, Tom with the dad jokes. You know what I mean? Like,
so how is it watching the final show?
It's fun. And then, so then they redo it again. Like once the characters start to learn their thing, then they do a whole nother practice that's for the cameramen and what angles they're going to get and what the shots they're going to get, and, you know, and how they're going to shoot it and blah, blah, blah. And so they're still sort of acting, and then there's a B team that comes in and sort of acts in the camera, so it's work for the cameras. And I'm listening to all that so I can just keep hearing the words over and over and over and over, you know. And I'm not the only one. They start to notice, the director and the showrunner, they start to notice like, yeah, that's not working. We need to rewrite that. And then, so that first night, then we all sort of get together after the whole thing's done and they've done all the practicing and rehearsals. And it's like 6 o'clock at night after being there at 8 in the morning. And then the writers the writers that are there, we all get into the room, and then we start at page 1 and we're like, okay, what notes do you have? And the notes, the jokes that you haven't pitched that day, you start going through and like, all right, on page 1, that thing really wasn't working. And so I have this line. And then there's the debate, or we rewrite another line there, and we sort of go through the script all the way through and it gets rewritten. And then network notes come again about things that they want. And so it's like all through, you keep revising it. And then, and then on the next day, the Wednesday, they shoot it. So they act it and they get it shot so that they have every shot they need acted out right on film. And then they're done with shoot day. They've got the whole show in the can, basically, with no crowd, no real laughter, no nothing. And then the next day they do another rehearsal. We're still pitching jokes, and then they do it live in front of a crowd. And then that's when I'm like, sitting, I'm watching the crowd, like you can start to hear the things you start to hear are like, okay, they stepped on that joke. They started their next line too soon. So then that's really when Jordan's sort of taken over, and the director is sort of like, that's when you have to do a few pitches at that point, and you start to hear, okay, that didn't work. And hopefully you've thought ahead enough that you have 3 different punchlines for that thing.
For that, okay.
And then they will go retry it, or they'll try, so till they find the exact one that really clicks.
So by the time it's shown on TV, do you watch it? Because it seems like you have watched it over and over.
I don't. I think that's rare though, because most people watch it. I have my own. I don't like to watch myself. Period. You know what I mean? So I haven't. But I've seen a few episodes, and I'm like, it makes me proud to watch and be like, oh, that joke's great. Now blah blah. Some of the actors on that show are just the girl that plays Denise, Tammy. She used to be on like Basketball Wives. She was on Real World. She was
Tammy.
I don't remember her last name, but she's so funny.
She started off on the Real World. She was like second season.
Yes. She is hilarious. So they're so fun to write for as you learn the characters too. And
so because that's what I wanted to ask you. Is it easy to write funny material to make someone funny, or do they have to have
I think you can give people the words, but
the delivery is everything.
Because I would feel like, as someone who's funny and writes jokes, and if you give it to someone and they just
it drives me crazy. I'm like, how do you like, they don't hear the same like cadence you hear, or it's like, that's another couple arguments I would have, like, that joke's not working. And they're like, they'd be like, that joke's not working. I'd be like, because she's not saying it right.
Exactly.
She's not saying the line we wrote. She's saying ba 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 instead of ba 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 da da da. You know what I mean? Like, that's why it's not working. And then there's like, well, you got to let the actors do it how they do it. And it's like, but that's no.
That would be frustrating.
It's got it. That's why the words are there, because they work precisely like this order. That's why it's funny, And sometimes it really is that, and the actor can make it better the way they say it. Like, that does sound way better, And so, like, it is, but yes, and or there's like the character on the character that plays the oldest son on that show. That guy milks laughs out like I've never seen anybody be like. There's not a line on the page that's funny, and he finds a way to get 2 laughs out of it, and it's like, so when I watch him, then it's like, oh I like, now he gets easier to write for, because now I'm excited to write. Like, this guy's funny, like. Or he'll do something, and that's one of the things I watch for too. Like, Eric does this too when he watches us do stand up. Like, you come off stage and you can tell by the reaction of other people, like, okay, that was funny. That's funny. That thing you said there is really, and he does that, like, in rehearsals, he'll do a movement and like, dude, that is hilarious. Do that. Blah, blah, blah. But some of them, you have to figure out how to get them to say the smart ass thing right. And sometimes like that guy he makes everything we write extra funny. So that's good. I think we try to write more for them because of that.
Yeah. Well, you want, because that's going to get, you know, the audience involved, which is going to get the viewers, you know, watching too with those moments of funny, because everyone wants to laugh. But the other thing I wanted to ask, now working.
We gotta.
Okay. I know, so
I can go on and on. I can ramble on and on.
Yeah.
And on.
No,
Like,
I love it. But Kurt has a bedtime.
But that is true. You did tell us that.
We have the same problem with my podcast is I won't shut up. And it's like, we just did an hour and a half. We were trying to do 32, Simmons. What are you doing? You didn't stay on point or topic one time. We can't use any of this.
But that's a good conversation.
Yes.
But working on a show and seeing all of what takes place behind the curtain, would you want to have a show yourself? Or does it say, because you're seeing all what goes into it and the politics and all of that, you're like, I just rather support a show than have my own show?
I would want to, if I had a show, I would want, like, if I could dream it up, I would want a show, and I would want to have a great team around me that did all this stuff. Like, that's one thing I've recognized on this, is like, there's so many people that are great at what they do. I want all those people around, and I would want to just I'd want to act it, and I'd want to act in it obviously. I'm not really an actor, but if it was my show, I'd need to be in it telling jokes, and I'd want to be part of the writing process, and I'd probably be pretty hard on the writers.
Everyone laughs in the room because they know there's no probably to it.
Yeah, I'm hard on myself, so I want, like, that's, you know, I'm hard on the show. I'm on the Miss Pat show in my own head. Like, it's like I want it to be on a level of great as to a level of good, you know, and good's easier.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know, good's easy, you know, but it's still hard to be good, you know. But it's like that extra grind. Yeah, but yeah, I would do it but I wouldn't be good at. I would need people around me to keep me away from the people that make the decisions, right, Eric? Yeah. Because I feel like I'm a good person, but I'm also, I have that thing of like, I can be like,
and you come across as an asshole.
I can be super asshole. Yes. I don't really mean to, but somehow it comes off that way, you know?
And I think when you're super nice and then you do that, it's like, to the other person, it's just like, this person is crazy and I don't like them no more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait,
I think that's what happened with my wife.
Gosh.
No, I'm serious. But that's the truth is hilarious. That's another thing that happens. It's not always joke writing. It's just, you just say the truth out loud. And then it makes people laugh because they're like, what? And, you know, I used to say if they ever had a Good Point Central, I would have had 4 specials. You know what I mean? Because there's some of that in my comedy. Like, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Create that yourself.
Okay.
All right, we're wrapping up.
Are we wrapping up?
Yes, Tom. You got to give us your social media outlets.
Tom Simmons, T Simmons Comedy on Instagram. I have a TikTok, but it's not really going yet, so don't really worry about
you
that.
You have to get on TikTok.
You know what I've started doing is just like one-liners. You know what I mean? Like
that's how it. Yeah. That's
quick.
Good.
Yeah.
And it's gonna,
because TikTok is quick.
Like old people.
Yeah, do one.
Old people are always bitching about young people, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I listened to this old guy who's like 85. He's like, these kids today, they got it made. When I was a kid, we didn't have 85-year-olds.
You was like almost dead at 40.
So So I have an idea to start doing some of the jokes like that. You know what I mean? Or there's a thing on TikTok that people do where somebody will lip sync sort of a comic's material. I don't know if you've seen somebody doing that.
I've seen those.
Huh?
Yeah.
Using sounds.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Yeah. They use the comic's bit and then they sort of mouth it out. So I was thinking about doing that with my whole catalog, and nobody knows who I am or what I look like. I'll just be like a guy like doing my own bits.
That would be funny too.
So I have some.
I like that.
I used to. I'm not on Twitter anymore. I used to, but I got sort of Twitter. I spent a couple years one time doing. Speaking of churches, I did a thing called Pew Tweets where I would go around and tweet where I would go to church services. That's what I started to tell you about the guy from Reverend Barber. He got me started on this thing where one of the preachers during the gay marriage thing here in North Carolina, all of our religions were preaching to their people to vote no, because otherwise they would go to hell, or they'd be blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
So I started going to those churches to sort of, and I would live tweet the services and make fun of them while they were happening. You know what I mean? So I would sit in the back and be like, it'd be like, you need to get a stronger grip on Jesus.
Stronger grip on
Before
Jesus.
Satan comes knocking at your door. Like, oh shit, well, Satan doesn't come knocking at my door. Christians come knocking at my door. What should I grip to keep those motherfuckers away? Excuse my language. No Satanist has ever once knocked on my door.
Jehovah's Witnesses knock at the door.
Have you heard the bad news?
Yeah. Well,
that was the good thing about living in the motorhome. I didn't have to worry about Jehovah's Witnesses. You know what I mean? You're gonna pull up in a van alongside me on the highway, dive on my windshield, like, we got something to tell you about the Lord. Really? Go to the curb.
yeah.
So I'm always gonna be doing comedy about my family and my son and my wife, and then big issue stuff. So I'm out there constantly working. I got a podcast that I'm trying to work on too. It's gonna be called Dumbest Guy in the Room.
The dumbest guy in the room.
Yeah,
okay.
Because I feel like I should always be the dumbest guy in the room, and I'm out here doing comedy, so check me out. I got a couple albums.
With TikTok, just start recording your one-liners, because you don't have to like upload it right then, or you don't have to use TikTok to do a video.
Right.
You could just pull out your phone if you got something funny, record yourself, and then when you go to TikTok later, you can upload it and then put all types of effects on it.
Yeah. I did that to calm myself down on the way here. I was getting angry at traffic, and then I literally got stuck at a train. I was like, what is this, 1947? What just happened?
And you recorded it?
And so I started recording the train going by, and I was like, I can, you know what I mean? I have books like this. Like, do I even have one out?
Is it this one?
Yeah, like I have books like this that over years, when I'm reading and stuff, I'll find a quote that I like within the reading, and I was like, I can get a short video like that and start doing some of that quote talk stuff. Like I have like a lot of that, like quotes from books, or when I'm reading, I'll underline stuff. Like there's all that stuff on TikTok too. So I want to I always have like, I'm going to do this and this and this. And then I'm like, I sleep till 2, and I'm like,
sleep till 2.
Yeah. It's like, I want revolution. Oh shit, Sports Center's on. They just solved the
distractions. They're there for a reason.
Distractions are there. Exactly.
Give me some entertainment right now. Revolution can wait.
That's right. Exactly.
Even with the train, Tom was still here first.
Yeah,
yes.
I know. I was right behind him. I was a few minutes behind him.
So I want to make light of big issues in the world while also sort of using jokes to point out, like that it's real, like a real deal. Like, like this war going on right now. This war in Russia. You don't want to invade this country. You know what I'm saying? Even our homeless are veterans.
Yeah.
We are prepared.
It's true, people.
Hey, don't forget, they fought for your right to say, get a job. Okay, boom.
Oh.
See, I like to do dark comedy.
I like dark
Cut that out for
comedy.
the TikTok.
Yes.
I like that. Okay.
Okay, so before we close, we like to do a I am at the ending, and that is just describe what you are in this moment, or not. But before that, you can go ahead and do the social media.
So you can find Broadbelt Speaks on all social media outlets, Spotify, Apple, pretty much anyone you could think of, we're on there. If you have comments, suggestions, or if you have a topic that you would like for us to speak on or have a discussion with, you can find us at broadbeltspeaks03@gmail.com. And what is our TikTok? I forgot what
this
our
is
TikTok.
Broadbelt Speaks.
Broadbelt Speaks is our TikTok.
Everything is Broadbelt Speaks. Yep. Okay, so now it's time for I am.
I hate that this is over. Like, I literally just realized I didn't get to know you guys at all. Like,
you have to come back and you want to interview us?
Yeah.
I mean, because it's not about us.
Call out to Eric, the engineer.
We did not, we did not.
Didn't.
So we have a new engineer in the building. We have Eric. Eric, the comedian / engineer of the last decade.
Kurt was the engineer, and then he did last week's episode. Obviously, something went sideways, and now he's out.
Now he's out.
Well,
He's like,
he did.
His wife did the engineering.
I think Kurt picked up some other work.
Forget this. I'm done. But thank you.
Yes.
We appreciate it. We
And
appreciate
raising ponies. Okay.
And this is the Flux Creative Studio.
Yes. Flux
And
Creative
I am
Studios.
joyful.
Okay.
All right.
I'll go next then. I feel like the pressure is on. I am at peace.
Okay.
Yes.
That's nice.
Oh. Tell us what you
I am thinking both y'all are foolish. I'm playing.
I'm joyful because you made me laugh. You could definitely do that.
I'm grateful. How about that?
No, don't do it because we're doing this shit.
No, I really was thinking that before I came up with the joke. You know what I'm saying? Like I literally, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be on here. I'm grateful. I wish I'm a little irritated that I didn't get to talk to you guys. You know, you guys both have kids, right?
Yes.
I want to talk to y'all about parenting because I feel like we have a lot in common with like raising our kids.
Yeah.
So
when are you coming back? Because I know you're getting ready to head off.
I'll be back in a month.
Okay.
Maybe we can bring you back and we can have more conversations about just our parenting. Wow.
I am
not. Damn.
So we can make it our random thoughts where we just talk about parenting.
Yeah, because we do have a show called Random Thoughts, and we just like randomly just blurt out shit.
You think we jump around now? We really
we jump around like 5-year-olds on that show.
Yes.
We're like jumping over from couch to couch.
Yeah.
We're not listening well.
Look, we lose our train of thought. I can't tell you how many times I have a thought and I'm like, what?
I got stuck behind a train of thought on the way here.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Come on. That's not a compliment from a white guy. If you were a 60-year-old black woman, that would be the best compliment I got all week.
Yes. But thank you so much for being here. We enjoyed your presence, Tom.
Everyone, check out his comedy. It's extremely funny.
It is.
And we're not just saying that. It was definitely, again, the vagina and the balls. That was the one. I watched that one a couple of times.
That one, but the other ones were great.
I was dying laughing.
I think you can find it, Yes All Women on YouTube or Big Vagina Boots. One of those two.
Big Vagina Boots.
Yes. Might be PUSSY versus balls. It might be something like that.
Look it up.
I don't remember them all.
It was good. It was good. The self-lubricate, I was just, okay. Yeah. You know how when you hearing stuff and you just catch it was like, oh, that was so good. It was just,
thank you.
Then you're like, how did he get to that? Like, it was just coming. Like, so, but yeah.
You remember when you wrote that piece?
I do.
Okay. Can we hear about it as they get ready to close this up?
Actually, I was talking to my sister on the phone and she said the initial line, which was that, well, they're stronger. And I was like, you know what? You're right. And so I called a couple people and my buddy Ryan Singer, I remember calling and being like, have you heard this premise before? Because like I said, when somebody gives me a premise, it instantly makes me be like, ugh.
You check to make sure you're not.
I started calling around and it was like, nah. And then through the sort of having the conversation about it, it was like the jokes just start coming. You know what I mean? Sometimes like you read a headline and you can write 10 jokes on that headline. And so it sort of was like that. And then as I started telling it on stage, it'd be like, I'd find another line or, a comic would give me a tag. And then that tag gives me 3 more jokes. Cause it's like, yeah. So it just, and sometimes when I find a joke, it's like once I have the joke that's like kabam, then it's like, okay, now since you know that's coming, you can write around that. And sometimes getting a big kabam joke gives you the leeway to do 3 jokes after it that sort of do okay also. And it's just, so I try to build around those big laughs and then,
maybe I can get that clip and then put it on our Instagram. Like how long is that bit? I think Instagram lets you put
minute and a half maybe.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I used a thing. There's on the video. There's a little bit longer like lead up to it. I think because I use the setup is again out of another joke about littering and blah blah blah, and then it gets into that because a guy I did it and the guy calls me a pussy, and then I'm like, then I use that him calling me that as the way to get into that joke. So I don't do that anymore to get into it, but that's how I did it at the time, and so
So that was your segue to move into.
Yeah. But you could just cut it to that. You know?
Okay. All right. And thank you for liking it, because I tagged you in the advertisement, and I know before you was telling me that you wasn't big on social media, so I didn't think you was going to be on social media. But when you liked it, I was like, oh, he's on social media.
I'm on there. I just
so appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we're wrapping it up.
We are wrapping it up. Yeah, there was just some post show talk.
I guess so. We're doing posts now. I don't know. But thank you for watching another episode of Broadbelt Speaks.
Yes,
and until
always,
next time,
peace.
Peace.